If you're familiar with me or this channel, you know that I'm not a huge VR fan. It can be difficult to set up, the graphics can be questionable, and setup time can take what little time you have left to play DCS or other games. And of course, it can be uncomfortable to wear. Coupled with the challenges of making content that doesn't make the viewer want to puke, yeah, VR is not something I've wanted to spend a lot of time with. But when PIMAX contacted me and asked me if I'd like to take a look at their Crystal VR, I legitimately almost said no thank you. The thought of climbing under my desk and hooking things up and figuring out software and game settings is just not something that I really felt like I wanted to get into. But I figured I'd give it a shot, try something new, and maybe find a VR system that worked for me. And so a week later, a box arrived. So first impressions. The Crystal is a beautiful looking headset. Almost futuristic in form, it's like wearing some sort of sci-fi warrior's headgear and not some nerd hat. It was very efficiently packed. Take care to check every nook and cranny in the box, as I not once but twice missed these small little boxes that held the additional parts. The setup was simple, though the video instructions did not match the included paper instructions as it relates to which cables must be connected. After that, a quick stop to the PIMAX website to download their proprietary software and set up your gear. Now, one thing I've noticed is the headset will sometimes act like it's not connected. Many times that's simply because the headset is off or sleeping, but I have had to restart my PC on some occasions to get the headset working. So I keep getting disconnected every time I log in or join a new game. Now, this video is not meant as a tutorial of how to set up the PIMAX, so I'm going to skip over those details. But suffice to say that it took me less than 2 hours from opening the box to actually playing a game of DCS with the Crystal. I expected it to take me much longer. So how does it look and how does it feel? First, weight. This has been a comment I've seen across the interwebs, and frankly, I can't understand it. You're pretending to fly fighter jets and helicopters. What do you think we're wearing when we're out there? A little weight on your head isn't going to kill you. That being said, it can be a bit front heavy for obvious reasons, but there are aftermarket options or even things you can set up for yourself to add weight to the back and balance the kit. But after close to 1,000 hours of flying while wearing night vision goggles on my noggin, I didn't find the PIMAX a challenge or inconvenience. As to heat, admittedly I've not played with it for more than about an hour or so at a time, but I've not felt any excessive heat in my face or from the headset body itself. So how does it look in game? In a word, impressive. One of my biggest complaints of any VR set I've used in the past is I have to stare directly at what I want to look at. As a pilot, my eyes are always moving in a Crosscheck. Wearing VR meant I had to treat everything again as if I was wearing NVGs. I was forced to look directly at the object or gauge that I wanted to see. So a Crosscheck of outside and inside the cockpit became much more work and frankly started to make me sick. What I immediately noticed with the PIMAX was the wider field of view. I could actually offset my eyes and see without turning my entire head. This was an instant game changer, and within the first few minutes of flying I found that I was actually enjoying myself. In fact, hours later I found myself wanting to go back and play more DCS in VR. Something I can't say I've really ever felt before. This is in part because of the eye tracking technology that's been integrated into the Crystal. I'm not an engineer, so I can't really explain how it works, but it tracks your eye movement so it knows where you're looking, and then it changes the pixel density based on that eye movement, I think. Now, as is likely with many, getting used to flying in VR can be a challenge. You have to work yourself into that immersion, as it can create some motion sickness. But I found the visual acuity so much better than I'd experienced with my Reverb G2, that it assisted in that immersion and made that transition much smoother. Now, I do have some small complaints about this kit. I don't like having a battery pack, as the idea of losing power mid-flight is not ideal. However, the kit did come with 2 batteries, and so far the first one has held a charge beyond my needs. Additionally, it comes with a separate charger, so you can have one getting juiced up while the other keeps you flying. Also, I don't really appreciate the button placement. The power switch is on the right side and the eye displacement adjuster is in the left, and both are placed precisely where I put my fingers to make adjustments to the headset and how it sits on my head. I found myself repeatedly executing an eye adjustment while still playing my game. Ultimately, despite these small issues, I found the Crystal a positively wonderful VR headset, but I also know that there are some complaints out there. Some are warranted, some are specific due to manufacturing flaws, and some are just people not using their equipment properly. I can't account for all of those things. I can only relay my own experiences, which has been, in general, favorable. One issue I have had is occasional disconnect. In filming some B-roll for this video, I was able to fly about 5 to 6 minutes and do a dogfight, my head moving in all directions, no issues. Then I loaded into an Apache and the headset lost connection, multiple times. It almost acted like it was outside of the detection space for the external sensors, but it doesn't have any external sensors. I recalibrated twice and the problem went away. This could just easily been something I was doing wrong, but I don't know. Additionally, I was having an issue where it would not stay connected to my audio software. This could very much be a byproduct of my sound setup for streaming and recording, so I'll have to test it further. Now the cost is prohibitive. Not only the base cost for the kit, but also the cost you probably need to sync into a system strong enough to run it properly. My system is quite beefy and it ran the Crystal about as smooth as you can expect, with FPS ranging from 40 to 60 in DCS and topping the 90s in IL2. If you dabble in VR or you've got a lower end system, it may not be something that you want to invest in. A big thanks to PIMAX for sending me this kit, letting me take a look at it. It is a beautiful system and it does work great when you get it working. Again, fighting through the VR challenges is something that I've always had to deal with, particularly because I don't VR very often. If you are an avid VR user, you might not have a lot of these issues. I know there's concerns about weight. Again, I don't think it's that overly heavy. It's a little bit heavier than the G2. I kind of held them both up. I haven't weighed them, specifically, but just kind of holding them, you can tell that the Crystal's just slightly heavier. And of course, it's always going to be front heavy. And then as far as the battery packs, I know that's an obvious concern for some that were used to having it plugged in. I've had the same battery in it since I opened it a few weeks ago. Every time that I've used it, and that battery is still showing the full charge. So I don't think that's going to be a huge deal. You can plug it in while wearing it. Of course, it's just one more cable attached to your head, but it is what it is. So again, thanks for watching the video. Thanks again to PIMAX, and we'll see you guys later. Take it easy.